of the old youth songbook, metal spiral bound. We would open up to, I think it was number 5, it was the Ferris Lord Jesus, and my dad was leading the sing company, and I'm trying to sing the alto part. I don't know why I have this memory, but I can picture where we were. I think I can picture the hall, the whole thing. That is to say that I've been trying to read music for a long time, right? So later, my parents were officers till I was in 3rd grade, and we left and moved back to east Philadelphia to Levittown, and we went to a Lutheran church for a couple of years, and I was a boy soprano soloist in that choir, but the deal was, when I sat down, just like Kathy mentioned earlier, I had to sing the alto part. So I was always trying to figure out this reading thing. And then when I became a DMD, probably you don't, in the Central Territory, know this, but maybe Ron, people would know that, to me, to this day, the best choral person ever in the Eastern Territory was Vernon Post. And I had the privilege every year, because he lost his daughter. I know he was the guest here the year after he lost his daughter. He lost his daughter. Priscilla nursed her, because she's a nurse, through her cancer at the end, Hodgkin she had. She's 22 years old. And so we would often visit him. It was really kind of neat. And Priscilla had room with her. And he taught me this thing about music literacy. And this is before we had screens. And we actually used to have music, with the words. What a concept that we could open up. When I was in Lutheran church, my brother would start trying to read the parts, and I'd start reading with him. So I've had this consuming thing about literacy. So when I became a DMD, I started to talk about this. And actually, if you'd gone to Star Lake, like I did in the late 60s and 70s, we sang every night in 4 parts, a cappella, from that same youth song book. I didn't realize it was the same book then, and in those days at Star Lake, it was sawdust on the floor. So when you did the pep song, there would be this dust rising when we stood up. Right, Marty? Or you were too little. But anyway, so I've had this path with this literacy thing. So I'm going to start, first of all, with rhythm. I know in the theory books, they teach you 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so forth and so on. But when I went to college, it taught me this thing called the kadai, which is ta, ti, ti, ta, ta. Can you say that? Ta, ti, ti, ta, ta. And then I ran into this guy. It turns out he was really famous, but I didn't know it. Edwin Gordon, and he taught a system called music learning theory. And he teaches, John likes to talk about a thing called audiation, which means you're imagining the sound before you, in your ear, you're hearing that. That term was invented by Edwin Gordon when I was at Temple University my first time. And he said, but many people didn't hear it. He had syllables like do, de, do, de. He said, you could apply it. So I'm teaching brass like all the time as a DMD, and I decided I would change it and use, one of his things was that ta always went on the beat. So here's ta. Say it with me. Ta, 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 ta. Now why would he use ta? Because I'm teaching you how to play trombone or your cornet. I'm not going to use do-de, because I don't want that, right? Okay? So I do that. So then I'm translated into, if we add 8th notes, we change the ti to ta, because we always want ta on the beat. So ta, ta, ti, ta. Right. And then with the kids, it was really fun. Priscilla taught me this one with Sing Company. He would use ya for the beats that you're counting across instead of 1-2, you're doing the theory book. So watch this. This is fun. Ya, ta, ya, ta, ta. So your grandkids, Carl, love this when they come to Sing Company because ya, ya, ya thing. But by the time we still have the diaphragm going. So can you go with me? Can you see over there or not? I can back up a little bit. Let me see. Oh. Is that better? Yeah. All right, here we go. And ta, ya, ta, ta. You have to physically get involved. You know that. My songsters know that. Okay. So it's ta, ya, ta, ta. So the dotted half note, because you know that gets 3 beats, you're going to count 2 more yas. And go ta, ya, ya, ta. And then lastly, the whole note's simple, right? Ta, ya, ya, ya. Now somebody out there is going to try to teach me, like, he has a master's degree in music education. She really does. How do we do the dotted quarter? It's great because that's a grade 2 element when you're teaching band, right? 3/8 notes, so you could explain it mathematically. 3/8 notes, T, 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 maybe T, T. But this one gives you the second beat. Ta, ya, ti, ta. So you have to feel the 2, and the and is then clapped. So try that. And ta, ya, ti, ta. Right. So I became this way I always do it all the time. So then when you apply that to the piece of paper, we're not necessarily counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're just identifying the figure isolated by itself, okay? That was the first thing. So audiation, ta, always on the beat, so we never lose the pulse, okay? We have a sense of that, okay. Then the other part was, this is just not magic, but you don't think about it. Notes that look the same, sound the same. In fact, they have the same name. I'll say it one more time. You can repeat it with me. Notes that look the same, sound the same. In fact, they have the same name. Can you say that? Notes that look the same, sound the same. In fact, they have the same name. And you have to have fun with that. In fact, right? Okay, now why? That's the first principle I teach everybody. So, how many often I've given an audition here at CMI, and there's 4 quarter notes on the same pitch, and we get all kinds of different pitches. So that principle, not just with kids, needs to be taught to everybody. But we're going to come back to that big time today, because the memory of the same pitch from before is really important to your reading. But you don't realize it, right? We're working on that. Okay, second is by step, and that's easy, right? So if you just sing with me, do, here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, now you know that certain of those are half steps, but they're steps. Okay? It doesn't really matter. But when we see them on the paper, right, there's just space, line, space, line, space. Okay? Now, what happens if we skip one, like John running up the steps, skips a step? I know Peter never did this, Blythe, right? Never skips steps going up the steps, right? But if we did, we do it this way. Sing with me. Do, re, mi, fa. We're going to start over. Do, mi, fa. So we have notes that look the same, notes that go by step, and they go by skip. That's it. That's the whole deal. Here's the rhythm. Here's the pitch. Okay? You think we can apply that? All right. So look in this little... Oh, by the way, why do we do this? I'm not sure Carlos will continue to sing. I'm going to pretend you're 13 now, Carlos, which I know you're not. But
I probably am.
11, yeah. Why do we do this? Because as a young person grows up, first of all, we do need to break their pitch and make sure we can do that. And it's much easier to do it when they're 7 than when they're 17. And then for 60 years of their lives, they can enjoy singing in worship. It's really important. The second thing is that when Carlos gets to age 13, he's questioning because he's not as quick as Mark is reading music, whether he's going to stick around. Right, so that is the part they have insurance. And we know that because you're reading, we can get the work we did this morning done more quickly because people are consuming facts. So, Peter, could you come to the piano, please? This used to be my favorite when I was traveling. Well, it's a chorus orchestra, just to get going. For the Beauty of the Earth, number 45, I believe, in the youth songbook, the tan one, right, when I traveled, because the music and the notes were together. What a concept, okay. And I would say we're going to go on rhythm. So, can you clap the rhythm of just the tune on the top list, just like we did here? Can we do that? All right, here we go. 2, 3, and ta, ta, ti, ta, 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 ya, ta, ta. Good. Skip down to the bottom line, because that line repeats. That's what's good about this arrangement. Last line, 2, 3. Now we're going to go ta, ya, ti, ta. That's why I taught it to you. Ta, ya, ti, ta. Okay, here's the bottom line, just a tune. 2, 3, go. Ta, 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 ya, ti, ta, ya, ta, ta. Okay, in the first bar at the top of the page, we're going to go down by step, up by step, a little bit, up a step, and then skip. Here comes the bride, the 4th, okay? Peter, just give us G major for now. Can you do that again? Okay. We'll do Lu for the moment. Here we go. Lu, 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 Lu. Good. One more time. This one. Lu, 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 Lu. What I want you to sense is that people, the lines that work, the voices lead is where I'm going. The lines that work, even in your part, are they want to go where they want to go. So do, ti, do, re wants to go to do, ti wants to go to up to do, fa always wants to go to mi. Can you sense that? Can you sing with me? Just on Lu. And Lu, 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 lu. Good. Now we're all going to sing the alto part for a moment. Here we go, go. Lu. Notes that look the same. Mm-hmm. All right, so very simply, now many of you can read in this room, so you're getting the concept, but notes that look the same, that's really important, okay? And now we're going to go back to that same D, right? When we repeat that line, we use our memory of the same note from before, okay? Can we go to the tenor part? Go. Now, I skipped the concept that obviously when the note goes up on the paper, we're going up slightly and then we're coming back down. But remember, when you're returning to the same note, it's the same note. That's a really important concept to keep throwing up there, okay? All right, basses, we'll do yours. Lu and lu, 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 lu. Right up the scale, now we go down. So how many of you live in an apartment with several floors? Like, yeah, right? So I say upper neighbor, lower neighbor. So upper neighbor and back down to my floor. Lower neighbor or the basement, whatever you'd like, back up the floor. Okay, got it? Good. It's great. You didn't answer me, but it's okay. One way to teach is in rehearsal. If you look at the bottom of the page number got cut off. This page, which says Staccato Syllables. So flip the page. Now, you recognize this as In the Love of Jesus. Peter, just for the moment, can you give us A flat major so we know where we are? And, right. Just sing the parts as you see them there, which is from the original. 2, 3, and. Yeah, you can play. 2, 3, and. He's second chance for the sopranos. By sopranos, by altos, by tenors. 2, 3, go. By His grace forgiven. We got wrong notes in the harmony. It's fantastic. Okay. So here's the principle. We'll only use the first 2 bars. La la dee da da da. Now, the principle is the staccato syllables, I call it. So it's territory songs, so you know how this goes. So we're going to do bum, bum, bing, bum, bum, bum. Look at the line below it. Can you just do that? All right, from A flat again. 2, 3, go. Bum. Yeah, so everyone that's been in this room with me knows it's one of my favorite tricks because the altos end up by themselves and they giggle and the bass boom, 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 right? So it's kind of singing. But what is really happening for you, the leader? What is happening? Yeah, you're feeling the real pulse, which is the 8 notes. Bum, 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 bing, bum, bum, bum. And when we bring that into the music and sing the phrase above with the full value, then you're applying. So we're actually teaching the rhythm and the pulse without talking about it. But just say, please begin only on the front of the note. Don't sustain any notes. So try that again. 2, 3, at the bottom line. 2, 3, go. Boom. Right. So now go up and sing the full values. Or you can split the choir. Half the choir keeps doing staccato, and the other half does the full value, so we still get the pulse going. Okay? Together, 2, 3, and. Yeah, we need some people to do the long notes now. Okay. This half, do the long notes, and you do the short ones. 2, 3, go. Right, so I can't believe we found more mistakes in my book, but it's okay. So the idea is that you're teaching the rhythm, the idea of the pulse, and subdividing without ever counting or all that. So it's just like this the fret. This is one way to do it, okay? And then, let's see, what did I give you next here? Active listening, that's good. Okay, let's go over to Only This I Ask, which is, I'm sorry, the page number 273. This in the book is chapter 13, I believe. It's the first demonstration of how I might do the song, but I'm going to use it today, how you might, ways to mark the music, I get to see the features of the music. So how many have sung this Only This I Ask before? That's perfect. Great. One at Graham's, in fact, if you go to Graham's house, this is the one in his dining room that he gave his parents. This is the one that's all his, well, the Psalms. It's quoting the Psalms, but anyway. Bar 5, that's when you start singing. What do you see, first of all? Tell me, same by step or skip? We see one step. Well, we see a lot of same too. Okay, can you give us key of G so we know we are? Yeah. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so same, up, down. Try that. 3, 4, 1. Only this I ask. Okay, next phrase, just look at it because we're looking ahead, and that's what you have to do if you're reading. We start the same. We use our memory. We're not even looking at the notes. We just sang this. It looks the same. It sounds the same. We're not la bum bum. But what happens now? We keep going up. Bum bum. Okay. Second phrase. 2, 3, 4, 1. Only this I seek. Okay. Good. So seek is the problem. He should have created a breath or something. So I think I put one in there. Okay. Now we're going to go la dum bum bum. And we're going to do what's called a sequence, right? So you're going to do it here. La da da ba. We'll do a little lower. La, ba, da, ba. And back to where? Ba, da, where we started. So we're using our memory. Got it? Memory. So can we go from measure 8, the G at measure 8, which is what word? Seek. 2, 3, go. Seek that I may dwell in his house all the days of my life. So, do, la, sol, fa, back to re. So in other words, we're skipping one. We skip the la, la, da, 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 la, da, 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 back to where we start. Okay? Sing that far. 2, 3, 4, 1. Only this I ask. Peter, you can play it's one. Only this I seek, that I may dwell in his house all the days of my life. So, just stop for a second. Rhythmically, what's the biggest problem? Because you're going to have to solve it. Of that first phrase, those first 8 bars, what's the biggest problem, rhythmically? Right? So after 3, we're going to get off on it, okay? So if we just get that in order, but one way you can do it is to put the K where it belongs, right? So the K is going to be on the third beat. Seek all the days of my life, right? And so forth, okay? Sing that much again, all right? And then I'm going to have you keep going, because it's going to be identical. So you're using your memory again. Same step, same step, la da da, okay? Here we go. Measure 5, 2, 3, 4. Only this I ask. Only this I ask. 1, 2, 3. And I may dwell in this house all the days of my life. 2, carry on 13, 1. Only this I ask. Only this I see. Now, okay, so la ti do in English, la bam bam bam. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get that. First time, la bam bam bam. Bum, the note we started on, lam bum bum bum. So this is 17, 4th beat, lam. Where we were, same memory, same note. sol, la, ti, do, la. That's not right for this key, but do, re, mi, fa, do, re, do, ti, do. Okay? So that's how it works. Can you go from there? That I may see, 2, 3. That I may see the beauty of your Lord. Yeah. So there's a lot of marks there about diction. Okay. So what have we learned? Just quickly. I know I'm going quickly, but I got a lot less time, so it's the way it is. Same notes, look the same, sound the same. By step, just assume that they get up, comes back down, same note, same that, we come back, and we keep using our memory, same phrase. Now, Kathy this morning had us out of our copies right away. I bet you could sing at least this measure 5 and so forth without looking down. Try it. 2, 3, 4, 1. Only this I ask, only this I seek, that I may dwell. Good. So the sooner you do that, the better, because now you're relying on the audiation, you're relying on your ear. This rereading drives me nuts. Carl, I'm looking at the songster leaders, the veterans over there. We reread, so we come back through, like say, Marty, right? Same thing, right? Marty, right? Why are we looking at this and we sound like we haven't seen this before, right? When in fact, we could have been out of our copy 3 weeks ago, okay? So this is scripture worth learning anyway, that I might dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. So I wanted to give you 5 more minutes so we could finish this whole verse, right? That way. So relying on our ear more. I'm going to go to Africa and march down the street with people without tune books because they do this. That's what they tell me. That's what we're going to do 3 times. We're going to march, right? So we use our ear, the audiation. So you have a good memory. That's how you learn things in English. Okay, next phrase. La-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. The ladies perk up because I'm singing Here Comes the Bride. Lum, bum. That one you can learn. Now, how can you figure that out? Lum, bum, bum, bum. Right? If you want to do it by interval, but anyway. Okay, then we go what? Same note, then down, 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 step, and then we have another skip. Okay, so we pick up to 21. The Lord, right? Is that the right pitch? Anyway, 1, 2, sing. The Lord is my Lord, and the hope of my salvation. Salvation. So you may have to sing that one. That's all right. Salvation, salvation. The Lord, 2 again. The Lord is my Lord, and the hope of my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Good. Whom shall I fear? Yeah. So then, there's another typo. You're right. 27 should be an F sharp on the 3rd beat. Gosh, this is a bad day for my book. So the typo. Lum, bum, bum, bum. So you hesitated for a moment because you couldn't find the E, but it was the same note you just finished. Bum, ba, da, ba, bum, 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 bum. Well, should be an F sharp. Lum, bum, bum, bum. Bum. No, I think that part's all right. It's okay. All right, I don't know what's wrong with that because he's doing that F. He's doing like Bill does, the major 7 for the G. That's okay. Okay. La da la da da la da 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 da. By step. Bum 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 bum. Our first note, we know this one. Bum 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 bum, and then we repeat. Okay, and then the last one. Okay, can we go back to 21? And I'm sorry about 28, the downbeat. The 3rd beat should be an F sharp. Just follow your ear. Your ear was right up the scale. Okay. 21, pick up. The Lord, 2, sing. The Lord is my Lord, and the hope of my salvation. Rest. Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? Same idea. The Lord is my rock. He's the strength of my life, in whom shall I be? Good. So, seeing as this song this morning, Jason's song, all of a sudden we had this twist of rhythm that we hadn't seen before. I don't know, like when I'm editing stuff or we're picking songs, you know, when I teach about songwriting, so why doesn't Christ alone work? It's like this repetitive thing, and then another thing starts to repeat. And you're expecting what the first phrase was rhythmically, right? Do you know what I mean? So when we throw these twists in, like he did in that one, and this one Graham does, la dee la da 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 ba ba. So you're gonna have to teach that, right? Because it's different. We're not expecting that, so it's a little different. All right? You want to stand because it's the afternoon. We'll go right. Peter, if you don't mind, we can play from the beginning. It's a lovely piano part. Graham Mills writes good piano parts. And we'll just do that far, and then we'll talk a little bit. How's that? Measure 5. And rest. Only this I ask. Only this I seek, that I may dwell in this house all the days of my life. Only this I ask. Only this I seek, that I may see the beauty of the Lord. To sing, the Lord is my light and the hope of my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my rock. He's the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Good. Of whom? Watch me. We go. He's the strength. Can we start there? Let's pick up to 31. 2, 1, go. He's the strength of my life. Watch me. Of whom shall I be afraid? So I'm trying to take the doubt out of where you think the beat is by just trying to give it really clearly. Try it once. You try to watch. You can try it with your hand too if you want. 2, 1, 2, 3. No, sorry, after 2. And 1, 2. He's the strength of my. Here we go. Of whom shall I be afraid? Okay, you get the idea? So you could show that you're not beating beats. That's the singers don't need to beat beats. Okay, have a seat. Great. Any thoughts so far? I know I'm going fast, but I love it because it's like 3 o'clock and I'm trying to keep you awake. It's great.
The word salvation.
Salvation.
Is it salvation or is it salvation?
Salvation. No. Salvation. First time is salvation. Second time, it's different words. Out loud. I hate that. You know, the praise choruses do that all the time. Second verse is different. They don't line up. So salvation. Yeah. Comments so far about. So are you learning? The point is, are you learning? Right? That's the point. Like, it's embedded in what the conversation is with your brigade that they're learning rhythm. Like Kathy said this morning, just don't say the word legato, say connected like legato, and then after a while you can just use the word all the time, right? Go ahead, Jacob.
Just by nature, when I see grace notes that are lower, I tend to default to reading those. So,
well, eventually we would add the other part. This is for the Psalms, Hymns, and Spiritual Songs, a 2-part thing that the East used to do. I don't know if they do it anymore or not. But yeah, you would eventually add the other part. So yeah, that's fine. There's so much you could do with that, but I just wanted to get the basic concept of notes look the same, sound the same, in fact, the same name, step, and don't forget we do go down. First thing I teach the kids is this going in reverse, and I say do not come to breakfast tomorrow morning without do ti la sol fa mi re do backwards. Everybody knows they're going up, right? It's going down, so they don't best to get into the room the second day of conservatory and they get do ti la sol fa mi re do, back down the other way, right? So we learn to do that because that's just like the exercises. We do them all ascending, we never descend. Yeah. Does this resonate with you at all? Ta is always on the beat. right? And that never goes away, especially with kids. So ta, ti, ti, ta, ta, you would answer me. And eventually we would play a game to have them write it, which is easy to do with like popsicle sticks or whatever, you know. Yeah, go ahead, Rachel.
So do you use this when you're introducing a piece of music to kids?
Yep.
Are you saying, would you use this with adults?
Not really, but yes. Have I used this? I think I have, but I don't know. Yeah, it's right. So the dotted quarter I would definitely use because it's so good. Ta, ya, ti, ta. It puts the eighth note right in the right place instead of 1 and 2 and 3. No, to answer you, I wanted to explain my thing about the counting. It's just too complicated. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Yes, you're trying to understand the principle. But here was a physical way. More gateways, the better, right? There's a physical way that we're verbally doing, we're clapping, the whole thing, and you could, and this thing, right? Just really get that. Yeah. So this is mostly for kids. Although John used to say to me, "Why do you sing it so?" I'll sing it solfege and staff band, and they're like, "That's the language I understand. This is the way it is." I'll say, "You're not tuning your me," and like, you know, just learn the chord. Thank you very much. Like, you know, right? So, because that's, I don't know, but I will say for me, this took me a long time to get it. But the most important principle for me is the parts. If we went back to For the Beauty of the Earth, that part has a line. It used to be called, we didn't say harmony, right, Peter? We said voice leading. That every voice was leading really well, so that every part, and this is my thing when I'm like editing all the time, it's like, it's not when people say, well, I don't really know their harmony. They're not voice leading. That's what it comes down to, right? So every part, in my band scores, I want everybody's second horn to have a very tuneful melody, right? So if I voice lead really well, that's inevitable, and you know where it's going to go. Now, there was a tritone in whose lens this morning, and I was struggling to get from the F sharp to the C. And Peter then played the resolution. Once I knew where it was going to resolve, then I was fa mi in my mind, because that's what it was, right? So, yeah. Does that answer your question? Not the tas and tatis. Well, the other thing is audiation with rhythm. Let's say, you know, I could clap to the whole group, or we're going to clap together, repeat after me. I'm introducing a rhythm that's going to be on the page real soon. So what's the other one you were doing? Marty does it a lot. What's the other one, Marty, we have? Clap back to me. So we're using our ears, and we do that. And then when you get back to it, you're not going 1, 2, 1 yen, 2 yen, which is takimini, or what, you know, whatever, right? So you kind of figure it out. So what I'm saying is that there's more to this to get us to sight read. We're not just depending on our eyes. It's really about this, right? Trying to hear things before they come out, right? Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Well, clapping it too, it's the audible reinforcement of what's on the page, and that works with any age group.
Right. So we have done a clap or tap or patch them or. Yeah. Good. That's fantastic. Let me give you an example about the voice leading. If you go to the top of it, it says tuning natural half steps in harmonic context, okay? So this is really important to me. In Kodai, they teach that do, re, mi, sol, la, do, sol, la, sol, mi, re, do. So there's no natural half steps. The mi and the ti are missing. You sing, first of all, la, sol. So my joke is, like, I have done this, how like, nah, Bella, you know, what are we having for lunch to me? Sol, la, mi, right? And then we do these combinations of la, sol, mi, sol, la, ma, da, 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 da. Those are the first 3 intervals you sing as a child. And then we add mi, re, do. And to you, Peter, this would be most familiar because it's the pentatonic scale, okay? Then we add, interestingly enough, the intervals that are added later is the mi and the ti. And when I can hear, when I'm auditioning somebody, and I hear the half steps, the mi to fa, the ti to do, right, which brings us to Western music, that's where the tuning problems are. Because it's the half step, all right? So, fa, the mi, in my voice leading, always, that was the one I had this morning, that's a half step, right? And ti to do is the half step. We know this? I'm just assuming you know this, right? Yeah, right, okay. So that the idea of that. So this little exercise at the top there. Let's do the small notes first for Jacob. top line, which is do, re, mi, fa, mi. I shouldn't sing it to you. Can you just C major? Top of page, which is tuning natural half steps, because they're on page 100 yet. Just give us C major, yeah. We're going to do the bottom part for now. Can you sing? The syllables are there for you. Do, is that a C? Yep. No, here we go. Up to just the alto. Everybody sing the bottom Q, the little notes. Here we go. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. And so you should have felt the pull of fa to mi. You may not recognize it, but you feel it. They call it tendency tones, natural tendencies, whatever. All right, on the top one, we're going to go down the scale, and it's going to be sol, la, ti, do, which we kind of came across. Do, go, do, ti, la, sol, sol, la, ti, do. Now, the other thing is the fa to mi, if you put it in the context of the chord. So Marty and I have talked about this. I don't teach individual lines. I like for you to hear what else is going on. So if the altos are going to resolve fa to mi, like in this case they are, then I'll have the basses sing along so they have a sense of how it fits in the harmony. And they say, oh, that's the third. Like you don't know it, but it's the third, okay? So sing those two parts together. Pick any part. 2, 3, go. Do, re, mi, fa, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi. So there's an inevitability about landing the third, right? The bottom part with that C on top of it. Switch parts. Whatever you sang before, just switch. 2, 3, go. And then you're going to try to tune that mi. Not bigger than a half step, right? Because you can hear it was a little approximate, a little bit, okay. Good. That's one idea. Another one, if you look down where it says preparation warm-ups, based on, Kathy's talked about this. So here's a preparation warm-up for a tune. Let's go to the next page, but can we do the no one, Peter? We're just going to start in D, and then we're just going to modulate. So we're going no, just thirds, ready? Slow, and no. Good, let's do it again in the same key. You seem a little insecure. Everybody know where we are? Yeah, good. Here we go. Let's go up. Half step. And next one. Good. So that's my abbreviated version. Can we go back to D for a second? Because we're going to do the song in D. Let's do it once in D. No. Back in D. No. Now, just stop for a second before we apply this to the music. What are we doing? We're doing a third. No. You have to know that. And you're repeating that mirror image, but you know that you're taking it down slightly. Within the key, because it's a major key. No. And at first we searched a little bit, but I thought that was great. So those are the principal notes of the tune. On the next page, so flip over to, this is All for Thee. Now, it's unfortunate because most of you know this melody, but if I was teaching it, if you look at first verse where the men start, ladies, you're going to sing along, and I always make the ladies sing in bass clef when we're doing the solfege stuff. The idea is that here's that first F sharp. La, da, da, dum. Next one. La da da dum. Measure 6. La da da dum. La da da dum. And you're going to think, Harold, you're overthinking this thing. That is the essence of that tune. Those notes. La da da dum. La da da dum. La da da dum. And then you finish it off. So can we sing the first verse of Take My Life? And everybody sing the guy's part there. 2, 3, go. Take my life and let it be consecrated, Lord, to Thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in ceaseless praise. Okay, so the eighth tone. So I've had students, Kathy, you probably have the same thing. The difference between grade 2 and 3 is that dotted quarter, right? Grade 1 and 2, is it 1 and 2 or 2 and 3? The dotted quarter, dee, bum, bum, ta, ya, ti, ta. For people to understand that rhythm is a huge leap in terms of rhythm. That when we have these straight ones, it's fine. So that one there, okay. All right, let's keep going for the moment. And I want you to think about just singing your part, what you're experiencing with your line. And we may pick on your line. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so let's go on. Measure 10. Peter can use the B minor at measure 10. We're in 4 parts. 2, 3, sing. For the moment, can we do altos and basses? Measure 10. 2, 3, go. So, what do you notice about that? Particularly, you're listening for the other parts. It's really important. Your relationship to the bass part and alto to the other. So, a couple times we are actually in unison or octaves. Okay? What's the other thing is altos, the A sharp is the third to that F sharp in the bass, so it's really important to hear it that way, right, as the third. Try it one more time, just that group, and just experience. And it's very stationary, right? Notes that look the same, so forth. Try it again. 2, that group. 2, 3, go. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of the Lord. Okay, so we'll add a tune, and just like you get used to this as a tenor, that you're singing the root to a seventh above you. We had it this morning in the Jason Locke thing, right? And I had to check myself. It was a D flat, and the sopranos were singing a C, right? And you want to kind of go with that pitch. So here we have the E, bar 11, tenors, the E, and there's a minor seventh on top of the D. So stick to your guns. You've sung 3 Ds, and now you're going to sing an E. And don't be drawn to the soprano D, okay? Same spot, measure 10. Everybody, 2, 3, go. So right there, tenors and sopranos are in parallel motion at the third. Did you see that? As opposed to the one before. So you are trying to train your singers to see these things because it helps them to tune, it helps them to realize where their note really fits in. All right, we'll keep going just because we can enjoy it. Measure 10. 2, 3, go. Take my hands and let them move at the impulse of thy love. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee. So, you create an expectation when you're making a suspension or something. You're trying to create when you create an expectation, and then you create the tension, and then here's what happens on the other side is really important. So there's some surprises here. Like for us in 1976 or whenever Paul Kellner wrote this, we didn't expect this bar, right? And so here's my rules. Like that's why 12-tone music didn't make it because there were way too many surprises for my finite mind. But in this case, this is a very pleasant surprise. But this pleasant surprise in this case, I think, is learned by your ear. It's not like from here to there. So that's C sharp, what is it? Yeah, C sharp against the A sharp, right? And I can theoretically tell you where we are, but that's what we got. So that little surprise. But always he's starting from B minor every time. 10, back again at 14, and this one in inversion, and then he goes from there. So can we go from take my feet, measure 14, and just in your mind with your part, da da dee da da da, D nat, and then an A natural, so it kind of throws you a curve. Okay, so 14, 2, 3, go. Take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful we'll carry on for now. And so altos, let's do yours. Just do altos for a second. Altos right there. Take my voice. 2 from the E. 2, 3, go. Take mine. So the sharp is exactly what it is. It's just going to be raised a little bit. That's it. It's not a big deal, right? Okay. Together with everybody. 2, 3, go. Take mine. Same thing. Verse 3. Verse 3. Yeah. Measure 18. Take my voice. The sus one, the E, yeah. 2, 3, go. Take my voice and let me sing, always only. B minor again. Let's do the ending. We'll keep going. Right. So in those last 4 bars, were there any surprises? Did it do anything unexpected? No, because the voices led perfectly, right? Every voice part kind of led you to the right place, and it is the right place to sing. So that's kind of my concept, that we can trust our ear more, and that we learn these tendencies of how things move, all right? So recap. I just talked about really trying to teach simply rhythm, tas and tatis, I basically call it, kind of modified, because we're in a brass world. I should say, for those of you who haven't seen it, Marty, can you just grab a singing companion and hold it up straight? Yeah. I was going to have you go out of here, but just so you can all look at it, you can take one if you want. So Beth and I put this together. This is all 6 levels of the sights. Let me open it up just for a second. Because Beth sent me a phone picture one day. This is a long time ago. And she had a Tradition of Excellence book open. And she said, what about this? And I had never seen this before. So if you open up a Tradition of Excellence book, or Best in Class, whatever book, there's always the instruction across the top, right? Let me find a better page. Maybe earlier on. This is my unadvised application. So the new concept for the page, and it's color-coded, right? So rhythm is purple, pitches are whatever, right? So Kathy, right, you would teach out of these books and the new concepts. And then they highlight the new concept in the page in the music. So she says, what about this? So what we did was we take the Weineke method, which was done in Indiana, it's out of print, Melodia, which is a famous 100-year-old sight singing book, and then we wrote some ourselves. And basically we created, so at John's camp, I did a vocal camp 2 weeks ago, those kids got through 7 lessons, and basically they're learning the tas and tatis, the rhythm itself as well, but, and then we did move, we actually moved from F to D that week. And so this is another way you can quickly do it. Another way, I just want you to be aware of this. So we call it the singing companion, and then the map voice form follows this. So primer level is the first 6 lessons, next 6 lessons are level 1, and so forth and so on. So it's really good to do, and I challenge everybody. I have to tell you, when I'm in tune, ask Katie Laidlaw, when we were like having our 3-week conservatories and we were doing this every morning, we were like hot stuff. We could sing Bach, anything else, right? So at the back of the book is pretty tough, and the test is the duets. Like if you land together with your pitch at the end, because you're singing these independent parts, then it's kind of really fun to challenge. So I'm just throwing that out there. As you can tell, I really enjoy this, so I'll leave it at that. So, but anyway, that's a resource that can work. In your case, I had 17 girls for those 4 or 5, whatever days it was, and I didn't question, we're just going to do this solfege, and we just start, right? And it's methodically done. The syllables start to disappear. They have to figure it out. The rhythm's there. And actually, the Kodai thing is most clearly, that I just taught you, is most clearly on this chart in the back. The Kodai, he was the original guy, Hungarian, just fantastic method, and everybody sang in that country because of him, right? In England, they were doing the British Choral School, it's because of Kerwin and the hand signs and the solfege over the music that used to be there. If it hadn't been for that, they didn't sing for 400 years before that, but all of a sudden, everybody sang, because they had that in England, and in Eastern Europe was Kodai, right? So we're modifying the Kodai here. This is what this one is. The latest one is called Takadimi. John probably had to study this, right? And then here's what we know, right? Most of us, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's in the back there, as well as, you know, the hand signs for the solfege to make that work, and all kinds of shortcuts for intervals and stuff like that. So that's my unabashed advertisement for the Sing Companion, and it has Beth's name on it, because she did so much. She made it beautiful. It's just great. I think Marty helped with the typesetting, didn't you? Did you typeset this book? Yeah, I think you did. Do you have a question, Sophia? Good.
Just to clarify, like when the notes are like
Mm-hmm.
are these 2 parts? Or
Yes, 2 parts. So, yeah, I would have said that, I think I assumed in the room, soprano, alto, tenor, bass. If there's 2 notes, if there's only 1 there, then all the ladies are singing that 1 note that's there on the treble clef. And then sometimes we have to clarify about stems and which direction. I think Marty spends way too much time to sing to the Lord to not clear, like, right? So stems up, right here is altos. No kidding, really? And then you have to, right? So, but yeah, so if there's 2 notes, the alto line would be the one underneath, the one on the bottom, just like Jacob was saying, because he's like a bass too. Like, he's never going to sing anything about, right? Any other questions? I tried to get done on time. I did pretty good, actually. Thank you. You may take those handouts. You also can take my book out there. And if you'd like a singing companion, just so you have one, that's great. There's like 15 of them there on the table.